Hi there, YouTube. It's my favorite time of year again, the holiday season. It all starts with Halloween, which is one of our favorite holidays here at the Pfister house. Why? Well, we love candy and we love costumes. And my oldest son here loves zombies, mummies, werewolves, and monsters of every kind. And it's not scary because we know the difference between reality and fiction. A point that will become important later in this video, I promise. Today, we're going to talk about Halloween and you guessed it, the Jehovah's Witnesses. Because what would be the point of a Sister Pfister video if we didn't explore some jacked up Jehovah's Witness beliefs and teachings? So to start with, I grew up Jehovah's Witness and I was told that Halloween was evil and dangerous. And I never really understood why all the other kids at school were so amped about it. My mom said that parents who let their kids celebrate didn't really love them, so I kind of felt sorry for those kids, at the same time as I wished I could have some candy. I mean, I didn't want to make Jehovah mad or risk being destroyed at Armageddon or make Satan the devil smile or whatever, but I sure wanted a Snickers bar and a sparkly princess dress. It's true, and the older I got, the worse it was. Other kids went to parties and had fun and wore costumes and had a ball while we sat at home in the dark because if you left the lights on, the trick-or-treaters would come and that would be horrible. Seriously? I can't see in this thing. And you really need to understand how much A, I loved sweets, and B, how much I loved costumes. Oh my God. This time of year was really hard for me as a Jehovah's Witness. As a worldly person, it's freaking awesome. Yes, Halloween is every bit as fun as we thought it would be. But what did the witnesses teach about Halloween? What's their justification for the idea that it's wicked and wrong to put on a costume and visit your neighbors asking for candy? Get ready, folks. Here we go. The book Reasoning from the Scriptures was published around about 1988 or 1989 and used to be the go-to tool for witnessing. What underlies holidays in memory of the spirits of the dead? Gosh golly gee, I wonder. I mean, I can't imagine what they mean here. First, they go into a whole lot of boring crap about the Roman Catholic Church, and then they start talking about the Celts, and then we get this strangeness. The book, The Worship of the Dead, points to this origin. The mythologies of all the ancient nations are interwoven with the events of the deluge. The force of this argument is illustrated by the fact of the observance of a great festival of the dead in commemoration of the event, not only by nations more or less in communication with each other, but by others widely separated, both by the ocean and by centuries of time. This festival is, moreover, held by all on or about the very day on which, according to the Mosaic account, the deluge took place, the 17th day of the second month. The month nearly corresponding with our November. This quote is apparently from someone named Colonel John Garnier in London in 1904. Now, okay, Satan, can you go away, please? Now, where they get a connection to the flood of Noah, because that's what they mean by the word deluge here, I have no idea. This is just bizarre. Thus, these celebrations actually began with an honoring of people whom God had destroyed because of their badness in Noah's day. For real though, nobody is dressing up and asking for candy because they want to honor bad people that God supposedly decided to drown several thousand years ago. Bad people who apparently included mamas and babies, and God didn't spare the kitty cats either. First of all, y'all, Noah's flood didn't happen. And second, people celebrate Halloween because it's fun. That's it. Such holidays honoring spirits of the dead as if they were alive in another realm are contrary to the Bible's description of death as a state of complete unconsciousness. Who cares though? I mean, really, Halloween isn't even about having seances and trying to contact your dead grandma or whatever. The next article we're going to consider is from the Awake magazine in 1993. The facts behind Christmas, Easter, and Halloween. Halloween, ancient night of terror. It is the last night of October. By the light of the moon, a small group of costumed figures move from house to house, stating their demands with dire threats. Oh, that's cute. Yes, the threats of most trick-or-treaters, typically young children, because usually kids are over it by 10 or 12, to be honest, their threats are certainly dire. Trick or treat. Guarding some doorsteps are grimacing pumpkin heads, glowing with burning candles made from human fat. Wait, what? No, we use LED lights. Or at the very least, you know, those tea light candles from the dollar store. Where would we even get human fat? Oh. No. Other doors drip with human blood. It is the night of Samhain, Celtic lord of the dead. You know what? Now they're just being dramatic. Perhaps in no other Christianized celebration does Satan so blatantly honor himself and memorialize his war dead. War dead? Really? From what war? Y'all, Halloween isn't really about war. This is weird. Also, Halloween isn't really about honoring anyone either. It's about candy and cool costumes. Nobody's running around hailing Satan.
The writer J. Garnier suggests that celebrations of suffering and death can be traced back to the ancient destruction of all his human followers, as well as the hybrid sons of fallen angels at the time of the flood.
This guy again? Okay, this writer they're talking about is the same one they cited in the reasoning book. Colonel John Garnier, author of a book called Worship of the Dead back in 1904. He isn't known as an anthropologist exactly, and obviously there's no actual evidence that the flood happened, or that angels came to earth to get it on with women and father the Nephilim, or that any of these creatures or characters ever existed at all. I think it's funny that after so many years, the witnesses can't find more than one source for this tripe, or at least one more recent than 90 years ago. That in itself should tell you something. Skipping ahead a bit,
the Druids were no exception. On October 31st, Samhain was said to release the spirits of the dead to mingle with the living. Druids roamed the streets with lanterns, and on coming to a house, they demanded money as an offering for Satan.
You know, this is BS. Y'all, come on. You don't seriously, honestly believe this, do you?
Halloween is a major satanic ritual day. It is a religious holiday for the underworld, with Satanists performing sacrifices and witches quietly celebrating with prayer circles or meals for the dead. According to a USA Today article, it quoted Washington witch Brian Jordan as saying, "Christians don't realize it, but they're celebrating our holiday with us. We like it."
Like, yes, Halloween or Samhain, as witches call it, is a major holiday for Druids and Wiccans, but it's definitely not what Christians are cracking it up to be here. If there were ritual sacrifices going on, you can bet we'd be hearing about it, and not from those crazy conspiracy people either. I mean, actual Satanists aren't actually worshipers of Satan. You do know that, right? They're basically atheists who chose Satan as a symbol because they know none of this crap is true. None of it. None of it's real. It's actually kind of a joke. And witches aren't really terrifyingly powerful women who can shrivel your nuts with a clever curse either. They're mostly ladies who like to make their own tea and sniff essential oils. And think about this. Don't the witnesses love it when worldly people come to the Kingdom Hall for the memorial? Don't they? Well, why are they so shocked that someone from another religion would be happy and gratified that others appreciate their tradition? This is just an effort to scare people. But remember this too. Witnesses aren't supposed to be superstitious or afraid of devils and witches and demons, but they are saying here that all of this stuff is real and scary. And those of us who grew up witness can testify to the fact that they very much do believe in all of it, and they are terrified of demons. Like legit ulcer-inducing terrified.
Parents, do you want your children imitating these sinister rituals?
Oh, give me a break. My kids aren't imitating sinister rituals. They're not sacrificing anything or anyone to Satan or eating babies or anything like that. My kids are dressing up in cool costumes and eating candy.
Despite the pagan origins of these holidays, some will recoil at the thought of denying children the fun of modern celebrations. After all, what do informed children know of ancient Saturn, Astarte, and Samhain? Some know quite a bit. They also know that they want no part of them.
Now, these little snots they're referring to, they're the witness kids who've been thoroughly brainwashed from birth and who have no idea what they're missing. Speaking of those poor little snots, our next article is from the Watchtower in 1996.
Taking a firm stand in school is rewarded. On the small western Pacific island of Toll in the Chuck Islands, the teachers in the local school told all the children to prepare for and participate in a school Halloween celebration.
Oh yeah, these kids had to be told to wear cool costumes and eat candy.
The witness pupils were aware that the celebration could involve decorations and costumes portraying ghosts, goblins, and witches, all related to spiritistic traditions. These children could not conscientiously participate.
You know, because little kids are known for their conscientious objection to anything fun, don't you know?
From their Bible-based training at home and in the Christian congregation, they knew that such practices are displeasing to God, even when done merely for entertainment.
Yeah, you heard that right, kids. God hates entertainment. Now go read your Watchtowers.
To help explain their stand more clearly, the children invited Barak, one of the witness missionaries on the island, to speak to their teachers.
No, not that, Barack.
After hearing the explanation, the teachers arranged for a second meeting at which Barack could speak to the entire school faculty. At this meeting, Barack presented facts to show the true nature of Halloween. He drew his information from several Watchtower publications, as well as from other sources.
Oh yeah? What were his other sources? The Awake?
Teachers and administrators were amazed at what they learned about the origin, history, and religious nature of the celebration.
What kind of teachers were these? Seriously, a 4-year degree is usually required in order to be a school teacher, and yet they're amazed by the regurgitation of Watchtower talking points from a random witness guy? Come on.
They chose to hold a staff meeting to decide how to resolve the situation.
What's the situation exactly? I mean, it's a holiday.
A few days later, an unexpected decision was announced. All preparations for Halloween were being canceled. The school would simply not celebrate Halloween that year.
So what now? They canceled Halloween for everybody? What a bunch of jerks. And if they're so amazed and concerned, why did they only cancel it for 1 year and not permanently? Something doesn't quite add up here.
What a favorable outcome resulted from these young witnesses' determination to do what is right in school. Young ones never need to be afraid or ashamed to take a clear stand for Bible truth.
Yeah, kids, you can ruin it for everyone. Isn't that great? Now nobody gets to have any fun. Jehovah's Witnesses for the win! Now we get down to
the truth about popular celebrations.
An Awake article from 2001.
Jean Markale comments in his book, Halloween, History and Traditions. In receiving something in their hands, they establish on a symbolic level that they do not understand a brotherly exchange between the visible and the invisible worlds. That is why the Halloween masquerades are in fact sacred ceremonies.
So I got a question. How can someone participate in a sacred ceremony if they don't even know they're doing it? How would that even count? And most trick-or-treaters actually receive something in their little pumpkin-shaped plastic bucket, not their hands, so that kind of blows this whole thing out of the water, doesn't it?
Since people believe that the barriers between the physical and supernatural realms were down, they thought that humans were able to cross over into the spirit world with ease. Samhain was therefore a particularly auspicious time to unlock the secrets of the future. Apples or hazelnuts, both viewed as products of sacred trees, were used to divine information concerning marriage, sickness, and death. For example, apples with identifying marks were placed in a tub of water. By seizing an apple using only the mouth, a young man or woman was supposed to be able to identify his or her future spouse. This divination practice survives today in the Halloween game of bobbing for apples.
Is nothing sacred? Now bobbing for apples is wrong? Good grief. Of course, in this day and age, bobbing for apples is definitely off the table. That seems like a great way to transmit a virus to me. But in years past, it kind of sounded like fun. And no one at your elementary school fall festival is bobbing for apples in order to determine who they're going to marry or when they're going to die, for crying out loud.
Samhain was also characterized by drunken revelry and a casting aside of inhibitions.
I don't know. Kind of sounds like fun.
Traditional values, if not flouted, were reversed, states Markale. What was forbidden was allowed, and what was allowed was forbidden. Halloween still reflects this spirit today, which no doubt accounts for a great extent of its increasing popularity.
Well, I mean, I could be wrong, but it kind of seems to me that pagans and druids were here first. So who actually has the traditional values here? If something's traditional, doesn't it have to have, like, history behind it? Like, shouldn't it be the oldest tradition? Also, why do Jehovah's Witnesses hate fun so much?
Commenting on this, the Encyclopedia of Religion describes Halloween nowadays as a time when adults can also cross cultural boundaries and shed their identities by indulging in an uninhibited evening of frivolity. Thus, the basic Celtic quality of the festival as an evening of annual escape from normal realities and expectations has remained into the 20th century.
I've never actually thought of Halloween as an uninhibited evening of frivolity. Okay, maybe frivolity, but not uninhibited in the way witnesses mean uninhibited. When they use that word, it's usually in a sexual context. Ew. And I've noticed in my research for this video that the witnesses seriously dislike the Celts. Like, seriously. They're bashing the heck out of the Druids and Samhain and Celtic tradition. And I'm finding that kind of irritating for some reason.
Just how concerned should you be about the dark past of Halloween and similar celebrations?
Aren't there any other more pressing things to be concerned about, especially right now?
After all, in most people's mind, Halloween is little more than a time to dress up and have fun.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. And there isn't any sinister satanic malware running in the background either, because Satan doesn't exist, and neither do ghosts and spirits and all that. Grow up.
But would you not agree that it is important for parents to make sure that whatever recreation their children pursue is wholesome and not harmful?
Of course. But we need to stay on topic here. Halloween is a family celebration in our house, completely wholesome and fun. We've been celebrating for years and haven't summoned a single demon, sacrificed a single pet,
relative, or random stranger, and we haven't even seen so much as a single contaminated candy bar or razor-spiked piece of fruit. You know what's harmful? Teaching kids that God's watching and judging their every move, and if they screw up, he's going to obliterate them at Armageddon. And at the same time that the devil and the demons are out to get them, and ghosts, spirits, and ghouls are real. That is harmful. It leaves no safe place for a child, and it creates unbearable anxiety. I know this because I lived it. A school inspector from France with more than 20 years of experience in teaching was asked about the influence of Halloween on young children. He commented, "I am worried that going from house to house, threatening adults in order to obtain sweets, can have long-term negative consequences on children. It can foster a selfish and egocentric personality. They learn that by exerting pressure, by demanding with threats, by making others afraid, they can obtain what they want. Parents must therefore ask themselves, what lessons will my children learn from celebrating this holiday?"
What a dick. How threatening is this? I am so scared that I have to give this child anything they want.
Here's my wallet and my keys, and my gun, and oh yeah, all my jewelry. Just please don't hurt me.
You know what lessons children learn from Halloween? They learn that candy is tasty and that people are nice and they give it out for free on the holiday. Costumes are awesome and fun. More importantly, they learn that spirits and ghosts and stuff aren't really something to be afraid of. They learn to get past their childish fears. I assure you that going trick-or-treating once a year isn't going to turn your kid into a raging, egocentric narcissist. Being raised as sanctimonious Jehovah's Witness, on the other hand, wait a minute though. Going house to house, threatening adults with what? Like destruction? Like Armageddon? That kind of threat? Can have long-term negative effects on children. Imagine. Selfish and egocentric personality? Wait a minute. They're learning that by exerting pressure and making others afraid, they can get what they want.
Halloween fills a shopping lull prior to Christmas. In other words, it is just one more thing pressuring people to spend money. Money that in many cases they cannot afford to spend. Do you really need to follow the crowd in this regard?
Especially when you could be donating that money to the Watchtower for the child abuse payouts. I mean, the worldwide work. Why in the world would you spend your money on something fun for your kids? Why not put that money to better use by giving it to your joyless vacuum of a religion?
Of even greater concern to Christians, however, is the fact that Halloween and celebrations like it are steeped in paganism.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, Jehovah's Witnesses, but everything's steeped in paganism. You know why? Because the pagans were here first. That wedding ring you're wearing? Pagan. Did you have bridesmaids at your wedding? Also pagan. Days of the week? Months of the year? All pagan.
But I don't honor the ancient gods and goddesses on their days.
Well, I'm not worshiping anything on Halloween either. Grow up.
Also, the Bible warns against the practice of spiritism. While it's true that the vast majority of those who celebrate Halloween would claim to spurn satanic practices, we should nevertheless be aware that historically this holiday has close connections with the occult. Thus, it can serve as a door leading to spiritism, especially for impressionable youths.
That's right, kids. If you eat candy on October 31st, Satan is going to come drag you kicking and screaming to a heavy metal concert where they'll eventually convince you to sacrifice a regular pioneer to the devil and burn your reasoning book.
Pagan rites and traditions tainted by spiritism simply have no place in Christian worship. They are far from harmless.
Halloween isn't worship, y'all. But of course, this isn't over. They're still at it in 2013 in our last article for today from the Awake magazine.
The truth about Halloween.
Why do I get the feeling they're not going to tell us the actual truth here? Maybe they should retitle this to The Truth About Halloween.
Personally, you may not believe in supernatural spirits.
Right on.
You might simply view taking part in Halloween and similar celebrations as a way to have fun and teach your children to explore their imagination.
Yes. Yes, and if that's all you're doing, and it is, what's the big deal?
Many people, though, regard these celebrations as harmful for the following reasons. Halloween, explains the Encyclopedia of American Folklore, is integrally related to the prospect of contact with spiritual forces, many of which threaten or frighten. Likewise, many celebrations like Halloween have pagan origins and are deeply rooted in ancestor worship. Even today, people around the world use these days to make contact with supposed spirits of the dead.
Well, God forbid you actually honor your ancestors or show any appreciation or emotion whatsoever for those you may have lost in the past. I mean, we are talking about the people who frown upon crying at funerals, though. Look, nobody is out there with their plastic candy bucket trying to make contact with the dead. Can you imagine what that would look like? Trick or treat!
Whoa, Grandpa, long time no see. You've been dead for a while.
Yeah, well, You should have unplugged me. That ventilator was miserable.
Although Halloween has been viewed mainly as an American holiday, each year people in more and more countries have been adopting it. Many newcomers to the celebration, however, are unaware of the pagan origins of Halloween symbols, decorations, and customs, most of which are related to supernatural beings and occult forces.
Honestly, you'd have to be a drooling idiot to miss the pagan origins of Halloween, alright? The point is, who cares? What's the big deal? Just because my kid wants to dress up like a zombie or the Grim Reaper and pretend that he eats brains for one night out of a year while collecting all the candy he can eat in his plastic bucket doesn't mean that he's actually going to turn into an undead brain eater or get possessed by some terrifying occult force. I repeat, grow up.
Thousands of Wiccans who follow ancient Celtic rituals still call Halloween by the ancient name Samhain and honor it to be the most sacred night of the year. Christians don't realize it, but they're celebrating our holiday with us. We like it, stated the newspaper USA Today when quoting a professed witch.
Hey, look, they've recycled this same quote again. Who knew they were into recycling? And again with the Celt hating. I'm kind of starting to get a complex.
Celebrations like Halloween are in conflict with Bible teachings.
You know what else is in conflict with Bible teachings? Equal rights. Pardon me if I'm not all aflutter over the Bible teaching, since according to the Bible, I should be submissive and quiet and meek, please.
The Bible warns there must never be anyone among you who practices divination, who is a soothsayer, augur, or sorcerer, who uses charms, consults ghosts or spirits, or calls upon the dead.
Hello? Okay, first of all, I am not calling up the dead. Their number's unlisted for one thing. Wearing a costume does not imbue you with supernatural abilities or make you want to start ensorceling anyone. Eating candy is not going to make you a spiritual consultant or something. So, what do we learn from all this? That the Jehovah's Witnesses are hung up on ancient history, but only when it suits them, and they don't like their people having too much fun. So, to counter all this wackiness, let's talk to some real experts on Halloween. Modern, current, 2020 Halloween. The first question that I have for you guys is, what is Halloween?
It is where we get to trick or treat and have our costumes on.
Then I'll do
Oh, no, you're ruining our interview. All right, hey, no sidekicks to the head. Well, so what are you going to be this year?
I am going to be a werewolf with an axe.
Robert, what are you going to be for Halloween?
He's going to be Grim Reaper.
Hey!
What does the Grim Reaper do?
He harvests people with his scythe.
He harvests them?
Yeah.
Like corn or something? Are you a corn guy?
No!
Ew. Can you tell us, what is it? Why do we celebrate Halloween?
We celebrate it because our mama here wants us to be happy with it.
Okay, so if Mama didn't have an opinion at all, would you still celebrate Halloween?
Yes.
Yeah, why?
Burp.
Oh. Do you like Halloween?
I like Halloween because we get to get lots of candy and wear our costumes.
Yeah. So Robert, is Halloween's one of your favorite holidays, isn't it?
Yes, I love it.
Yeah. What's your favorite thing about it?
The scary.
Oh, is it really scary?
Yes.
Are you terrified?
Not so much.
Not so much. Harrison, do you think ghosts are real?
Ghosts aren't really real.
Are monsters and stuff real?
Nope.
No, but I'm still afraid of them.
Why?
They're creepy, of course.
Creepy stuff.
That's
So-
a dull question.
Duh. Do you think ghosts are real?
No, I know it's not real. Because Halloween's fun.
What are we going to do for this Halloween?
We're going to do trunk or treat.
Yeah? Trunk or treat at Taekwondo?
Yes, trunk or treat at Taekwondo.
And it's going to be outside, and we're going to wear our masks and our costumes and eat candy. Have fun out there, kids.